Hey Potters, welcome back to the Pottery Plus studio. It's been a while, so I'm very glad to be here with you today. I just wanted to share a simple demonstration today over how to trim a foot on a mug. You could apply this process to any form, but I've just been in the process of making a batch of new mugs, which has been really fun. I've been trying some new shapes, and I thought I would just share this process with you today if it's something you might be working on. So let's go get started. All right, here I am with my mug that's ready to trim. You can see it's got quite a bit of excess on the bottom that needs to be trimmed off. This is what it looks like right now. So, of course, like always, my first step here is going to be to center. I'm just going to let the mug kind of slide against my hands as I gently push towards center. So I'm not squeezing it all here. I'm kind of just letting the piece sort of like bump up against my hands, if that makes sense, until I feel that it's centered. Your clay needs to be dry enough for this, so if it's sticking to you, let it dry out for a few minutes. Now I'm just wetting down around the rim of the mug, trying not to get any water on the clay, and then I'm just going to form some very rough coils here to use as lugs. And this clay is nice and soft. It's not sticky, but we always want our lugs to be nice and soft so that they don't warp the rim of the piece, mug or otherwise. If it's sticky, it's not like the end of the world, but then it can also kind of pull or get stuck to the side of the piece when you go to take them off. So pliable, but not oversaturated here. I like to be pretty thorough with my lugs because I've always kind of said, like, and I learned this from one of my college professors, give yourself the best chance of success, like, meaning take the little bit of extra time to set things up so that you don't have like a disaster. Meaning, here with lugs, it holds your piece down and keeps it on center. So yeah, it's worth taking a little extra time to secure these down really well before I start. Because when you're trimming, you are going to be putting pressure from the side with the tool, and it's easy to knock things around. So, all right, I've got my standard basic tool here like I always do. Nothing fancy. It's from that regular Kemper toolkit. And I'm just going to begin by taking off some excess. I'm not really even thinking about the foot yet because the bottom of the mug is so wide. I really just need to kind of taper it in. Start to taper it in, remove excess, and then I can kind of see, it's kind of like you're removing layers to see what's actually there underneath. So I always start, when I'm trimming a foot on a piece, I always start by just kind of doing this, removing excess, tapering it in. And then for me, the foot just it's almost like it naturally just will start to sort of fall into place, like where it should go and how big it should be. Now, this is just for sort of a basic foot. So if you're doing something specialty or wanting to play around with proportions, it might look different, but I'm just going to do kind of a basic rounded foot here. So I think about right there is where I'm going to want the foot to be. I'm just going to kind of start to carve that out. And what I'm doing here is I'm kind of turning my tool like to the left as I'm pressing down to get it in more of like a really firm downward motion to really carve out that foot. And now I'm just going to take away some excess from underneath. And I'm going to kind of be working back and forth between the foot and the walls here. Now I'm going to angle my tool under because what I'm wanting here is a pretty round foot, like I mentioned. And so the first step of setting that up is to make sure that where the foot meets the mug is angling out. And then what you do is you round out the bottom of the foot. You'll see that, or I'll be doing that here in just a minute. So yeah, I'm just kind of working on that connection point between where the wall meets the foot, getting it really nicely defined and carved out. I really like to have a nice defined meeting point of those two areas. And friends, if your clay is not coming off in ribbons, we always want our trimmings to come off in ribbons. So if it's too wet, let it dry out a bit. If it's too dry, maybe make a pivot. Try some sanding or maybe try another refining step. Okay, I'm gonna quit blabbering about that. So here I am again, still just kind of working between the foot and the walls. Now I'm gonna round this foot around. So that's kind of how I do it. Like I angle it at that connection point and then I round it off at that wider edge of the foot. Oh, I feel like that's kind of complicated when I put it into words, but hopefully seeing it will help sort of explain. All right, I'm gonna define the area where I want that interior part of the foot to be. So there I was really just focused on creating the edge. And then I'm gonna work my way into the middle, sort of back and forth. I know one pass is not usually enough. So I'm gonna kind of keep working towards center and back out again here. Rounding it if I can. You know, you don't always have enough material to round this part out, but like if you think about the interior of the mug, like it's pretty round. So to get the maximum excess material away, you also want this part to be kind of round. Like, anyway, okay. So I'm laying the tool on top to make sure that the center point is not higher than the sides of the foot, and it's not, so that's good. It's not gonna be rocking back and forth when I set this on the table. And now I'm just gonna sort of finish up taking away some excess from the walls, but I can tell there's not enough left. So I'm gonna jump to this other loop tool that really refines the surface nicely and doesn't leave a lot of tool marks behind, but it's going to take off just that last little bit of excess and smooth out the surface. I'm a smooth surface person for the most part, so if you like tool markings, finger markings, throwing rings, if you love it, I love that you love it. So you definitely don't have to do all these refining steps if that's not really your style. I'm reinforcing that angled meeting there again. So see, I'm not taking away very much. Not very much is coming out. I just want to like get it crisp. I want it to be crisp. And here I'm just going to sort of, again, the majority of the bulk that I want to take out is already done, or all the bulk I want to take out is done. Really, now I'm just kind of at a refining point. So just doing some little smoothing techniques here. I'm going to come in with my metal rib, a controversial tool. But you know what? They're cheap and they give the smoothest surface of any tool that I've ever used. But again, that might not be a priority for you. But if you want to use it, I like it that you can sort of wrap it around your curve and like get out any markings. It will cut you if you're not careful though. Again, still just smoothing out. Doing some refining, making sure that my bottom of my foot, where the foot actually rests when this is upright, will be as flat as possible. And I think I'm going to call that. I think that's good. If you're still here, obviously the trimming part's done. So if you're ready to head out, please feel free to do that. Go do some trimming today, or get on the wheel, or do something with clay. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up. Oh, those lugs came off so nice and easy. So here's the mug. Here's how the foot looks. I think it turned out pretty nicely. Not too overly dramatic, but I think it's proportional. I'm happy with it. And just one last thing here. Don't ever forget to sort of re-round the rim of your piece after you've trimmed it, okay? It always gets flattened, and it's very subtle. It's not always all that noticeable, but yeah, the rim is gonna be a little flatter just from that pressure that's been applied. So maybe take a sponge, take your fingers, or maybe even a chamois and just kind of make it nice and round again. And that's gonna wrap it up. I hope you found this helpful, and let me know how your next round of trimming goes. Thanks for being here today. Bye-bye. See you next time.